All right, we're coming up on 10 o'clock right now. This is the Voice of One. I'm your host, Mark Truss, along with Pastor Jim Montoya. Our guest today is Biffy Iffel. And the interesting thing, Biffy, great to see you. I get this notice today on my smartphone that says, Biffy Iffel interview today. Traffic is light. It'll take 2 hours and 51 minutes to get to Capitan on I-25. Now, I love my smartphone, but the truth is Rover, who you don't see on the screen right now, is up in Abiquiu. So we're having a little bit of technical issues here, but we are streaming on all of our networks right now, and we'll be hearing you loud and clear. But I did want to get some of the information out as I introduce you today. And of course, now my smartphone is not going to go where I want to go. But Biffy has been on other podcasts and other broadcasts and stuff like that. And her and I met for some coffee and talked. And I really loved what she's doing as a parent coach, but she's also an entrepreneur. And she's very involved with her family. She's got 2 children, her husband. She is a New Mexican. I was thinking this morning, Biffy, you should have the New Mexico true right across your forehead there, because you've lived in New Mexico your whole life. And so it's a pleasure to have you. This is your first time on. I want to introduce you to Pastor Jim Montoya. He is from Los Lunas, New Mexico. He's done radio and television for years as well, not only here in New Mexico, but streaming across America and around the world. So welcome to the program, Biffy.
Thank you for having me on. Pleasure to meet you, Pastor Jim.
Okay, likewise, I'm delayed to try to take mute and unmute here, but yes, it's a pleasure. We're excited to hear what's going on here. I'm all ears.
And you know, Jim, your daughter, who does sign language, or at least did for Big Calvary here in Albuquerque, Biffy actually knows that as well. And so, Biffy, I want you to introduce yourself. Just tell people who you are, what you do. I know you do a lot. We only have a half hour, so of course we're not going to be able to tackle everything that you've done or want to do. And but I do want people to first of all get to know who you are, where you're from, what you do, and why you do it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. So my name is Biffy. My real name is Elizabeth. Iffel is my last name. And I'm an entrepreneur. I also like to call myself a momtrepreneur. I told Mark when we met for coffee that my kids are my business partners. And so they'll be very vocal about when something's not going right in business. And so it's amazing to have them. You know, I wake up every day just changing the world, changing a vision for them. So my story, you know, is that in 2020, when, you know, of course, the pandemic hit, I was facing a career change, and I'd always thought about finding a way to potentially help parents. And I was playing around with the idea of being a parent coach because that finally was suggested to me a few months before the pandemic. Before I had my son, who's 4 now, I didn't want to be a mom because I saw a lot of negative views in society about parenting. I had a couple people tell me you should become a parent, but there wasn't any kind of conscious awareness as to why. And I saw that that was leading a lot of people to unhappiness and not being aware of ways that they could parent better. And so, you know, didn't want to become one, but then, you know, got a different plans. You know, I was pregnant with my son, and I just said, I got to get serious about this stuff. And, you know, God brought me this book that really changed the course of how I was going to parent. It answered all the questions that really I was wrestling and struggling with, and I felt a lot more equipped when I had my son. And so fast forward to 2020, I said, I want to go help parents. And, you know, I've learned the definition of success to be a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that's something that's just been progressing over and over consistently as I've trained to become a parent coach, as I've developed this craft and this art. And also just, you know, in general with entrepreneurship and, you know, meeting like-minded people and connecting. But I'm so incredibly grateful because I've met a lot of incredible people who have very similar visions. And so I've woken up to realize that the big vision that I want to change is to make each generation better and better than the one before it. So through parent coaching, to help bring that awareness to parents that what they're doing is way bigger than what they can imagine, because I see a lot of parents struggling to wake up with that. And then I want to eventually open up a school that's going to take a more holistic approach. And again, with that definition, success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal for that to shape for children, rather than for children to shape into a model of what people have told them success to be. And then, of course, create some inventions for the next generation. So a system that'll prevent pets and kids from getting trapped in hot cars, pets and kids from drowning, and then making a new renewable source of energy. So taking all the trash, burning it, and then converting the smoke into energy so that we can clean up the planet for the next generation as well. So that's where I'm currently going as of now.
And you and I talked a little bit about Dr. Dobson and Focus on the Family and his approach and many books that he's written, and of course his broadcast. And look, not to dumb down that reality, but he really approached the spiritual realm, from the biblical perspectives. And I think you're probably approaching more of the hands-on, what parents are living with every day, whether you say the Bible says or Jesus says, or this is what the church, your pastor, your priest says. You are, and again, it's a learning process. I know, being a parent, being a grandparent, it's a constant learning process. So how do you coach families when you're living in your own situation that you're always learning in and through? And then how do you, again, me as a grandparent now, it's a whole other ballgame. And look, my daughter, she knows I love her. I didn't want kids either. And I didn't even think about kids. And I think many people here in the church are thinking, well, I don't want to be fruitful and multiply. That takes a lot of work. And as you know, you have 2 children. It takes a lot of work, and that's an entire lifetime. And so for my daughter, now she's married. I got 2 grandkids, and it's a whole other ball game being a grandparent. So how did you learn, besides your own experience, but how did you learn how to coach parents? And there's such diversity in parenting in New Mexico and around the world. How do you do it?
Great question, Mark. So I went through a training program that was a year long. And what I loved about it is it was very thorough with different kind of subject matters, different type of topics. So one of that was the training. The other part of it was, in addition to the training, we had to get hands-on practicum experience. So I worked with a variety of different families in that way. And what I really love about being a coach, Mark, is that, actually a lot of people, they think that there's a stigma, a negative stigma around parent coaching, that means you have to be at a bad place, or it means you're a bad parent if you're coming for it. And that's absolutely not true. I had several people that just said, I want to get some more insight on this, or I want to learn, how I can improve, or how to have a better connection with my son in this sort of way. And so, that's one thing, is just working with several families in a variety of different situations, to really show that there doesn't have to be, parent coaching is not a negative stigma. And so with that, another way that I grow and learn on top of my experience, on top of my training, is I really do learn from my clients, truly, with them being so generous and open and vulnerable to sharing what's going on in their lives. It's a lot of things that I can also personally apply as a mother and think about being consciously aware of, on how to help my kids or approach them in a different way. I say, for example, my son's 4. We always joke that he's going to be a lawyer for sure, because he knows how to change every boundary and things like that. And there's a lot of times where, I'll talk with parents, and it's obviously the coaching's for them, but they'll say something and an idea just comes up, like, oh, I think that would be a better approach for my son.
Yeah, what's the difference between a family counselor and a family coach, or even a marriage counselor or a marriage coach, or a children's counselor, or a children's coach? What's the difference here?
That's another great question, because I get a lot of people who think that I'm a therapist, and that's what I'll say too, is I'm not a therapist. So the way I've been taught to distinguish the difference and explain it to people is, for therapy, it's having some sort of issues of the past where you are not able to currently live in the present, and be what you need to be in the present because those past things are holding you back. Parent coaching is, we've got some things going on in the present and we want to hit these future goals. And so, I definitely have had situations where I collaborated with therapists, or I have clients that have had therapists in addition to coaching. And so finding the way to just best figure out what's best in that situation. And then in regards to family, or family and marriage counseling, those are different scopes of practices as well. And for example, I have had a couple people, think that we're going to be talking about their marriage in a sense of whatever's going on with, what's happening in the home. But it's more talking about things that the parents are maybe struggling to disagree on or find common ground with parenting. So that's ways that I help families. And there are times where sometimes I have to, let parents know, we're not having a marriage session about, what's happening between you guys. We're having, for example, this couple came to me about their struggle with communication. And so when something like that happens, I just turn it to, okay, how is your communication affecting your parenting? Because, it obviously is. So let's talk about that and let's figure out some strategies. So when things go to more of a therapy route, I either suggest the direction they need to go, or I just put it back into the scope of practice of what I'm able to do and help them with.
And again, as an entrepreneur, I mean, bad management or bad communication and management is going to trickle down to the workers and the help that you have. And there's going to be a lot of questions, and people don't like to work under questions. They want to have a goal, and they set it and go. Let me ask you this as a mom, okay, and as a wife. All right, how do you? And I think I know a lot of younger couples, and they have kids, and they're working, and both parents are working, and their kids are shuffled off to daycare, and then they're picked up in the morning, or another one in the afternoon. How do you yourself find rest and quiet and your own peace of mind with dealing with your husband and just marriage issues, or dealing with your children when they're driving you crazy, or as you said, that they want to negotiate every rule and regulation? How do you, as an individual woman, find your place to kind of fall back, regroup, and then get in to do what through your training and through your own personal experience, what's best for you, your husband, and your kids?
Great question, Mark. I'm loving these questions, by the way. It's, one of the things I learned in coaching, actually, when we first got into the program, is they made us read this book on self-care. And I went, are you kidding me? What program did I get into? I hadn't seen the value of self-care, at that point, being a mom of one, pregnant, with my daughter on the way. And I read it and realized the value of, in addition to my coaching, how I really need to also make sure each parent is having self-care, because it's very common, and I've fallen into this, to think that self-care is selfish and that you're putting aside your family, but actually you're giving the energy back that you need to be able to give back to your family. And Jesus had to have self-care, right? He went away alone many moments by himself to be able to, reground himself. And another thing I think that's really important is getting into personal growth in whatever way that is, for finding like-minded people who can help keep you accountable in that, finding books or materials that can really help you. There's a quote by James Allen. It says, "Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom." And I've come to see and learn a lot how it's vital to really ground our mindset and our mind first. And when we have a calm mind, then we're able to go forward with being able to project that in the day, whether the kids are, throwing up all over the place, and I've got another call here and there. It's definitely a learning curve, and I don't do every day correctly. And that's when I can hit that quote and say, where am I lacking wisdom in this, where my calmness is not being projected?
You brought up earlier about, I'll get to you in a sec, Jim. You brought up earlier about how you don't have to have a crisis situation in order for you to come in and help people. And I've been part of marriage counseling meetings over the years and stuff like that. And, people are always thinking, well, I'm fine, especially the guys. I'm fine. My marriage is great. We don't worry about nothing,
Yeah.
but we can always improve. And so I think that that's part of the humbling process for any human being to say, you know what, I love my marriage. I love my lifestyle. But I can always be better individually and corporately. And as you know, there's power in the corporation of the family. So maybe you could address that for people who are wondering, and let people know, how do they get in touch with you? How do they see what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, what Mark was just saying, that, there's a lot of negative stigma around things like therapy, around whatever variety of coaching, you might be seeking. I'm personally a parent coach. There's a lot of different kinds of coaches that you can find out there in different areas: business coaches, life coaches, love coaches. There's so many. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a coach. But I'm very open about this, that I go to therapy bi-weekly. And that's something that I've recognized I need to do so that I can be the best version of myself for my family, as a coach, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend. And so I really appreciate that you brought that up, Mark, that stigma of therapy being, that we're in a negative place. And then same with coaching, that we don't have to see it that way. I've had several clients, again, that they just really wanted to find ways to just connect with their kids better. They were feeling like, like we're okay, but there's still something that I think could be better. And, it's great. Like, that's showing great parenting there as well, for you to want to seek that, even if you don't feel like you're in a place of crisis. And the best ways to get a hold of me is, my business is called Roots Parent Coaching. And so you can find it on Instagram, Facebook. I believe I have a TikTok. And you also can connect with me in my email, which is rootsparentcoaching@gmail.com. But you can use any of those social media platforms to message me and get in touch with me.
And if you're listening or watching, our guest today is Biffy Iffel, and we are on christianbody.net, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, at Apple TV, Roku, Streaming Church, other social media sites. Be sure to subscribe at christianbody.net at YouTube. You can share this anywhere in the world. If they put on closed caption, it'll scream across the bottom of their screen in their own language. And the beauty of what we're doing today, Biffy, is I've been doing this for 42 years, radio and television, as well as Jim. And we never had the opportunity to not have to go to the studio, to not have the guest come to us. And so this is a big to do today. And as you know, whether it's podcasts and everything you're doing online, you don't have to go too far to reach the world. Jim, go ahead, ask your question.
Biffy, may I say, as a father or grandfather, I'm proud of what you're doing. Take it seriously out there, that women have been put aside. They're trying to track and make women as men. Women are women, and they're endowed with special creative abilities. Has made you special, and the priority of husband and wife together and children has been lost. We've gone career crazy about making money. We're never going to make enough money. And the struggle with young couples. I have older daughter. My daughter, my son. Okay, they're all getting up there, but My daughter has 3 children out there, and she's struggling. She does sign language, Spanish and English. She works with Sorensen, had been working with Calvary, a lot of places. My son is as an engineer contractor and so forth. I got grandkids that are older than you here, but I'm saying here is that God is calling today. And how did you get your call? I mean, there's a calling that happens, and I believe that God is calling. I pray for my children, my grandchildren. There is one special person, not many. We're not praying for many. We're praying for only one special. And the call of 2 of your husband, your wife, your husband and yourself now taking on this endeavor out there. That's extremely challenging because there's a struggle to make money. Okay. You got to make money. Where is it there? Ministered churches, they're nonprofit. We are volunteers. All we end up is volunteers, and all the time we spend in churches. Well, we got to still figure out how to make a living. There's Monday morning coming home, and there you are. You got to, at the end of the month, you got to pay the rent. You got to pay for things, and you got to take care of your kids. And a lot of families have put the kids as the last priority, and then they have trouble out there. So I really appreciate what you're doing. But talk to me about your call. How did God call you to your husband, or call you to this work that's special? That's his work. He loves children.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, thank you so much thank you for your words. Yeah, God was really inspiring in this journey because I actually thought I hated children, and I went, oh, I don't like them, no way. And then, getting on this journey, I realized that I loved them. And, I just see how valuable it is that, what do children do? They grow up. And people who get stuck in that mentality, like I used to say, I hate children, they can't think beyond to say, well, they're going to grow up and become adults. So what do we need to do with that? And, obviously we know children, they are going through a lot of different things developmentally, depending on what age they're at. They're experiencing the world, differently than we do. And there's so much that they can tap into that we're not able to because of what you said. We get trapped in finances, we get trapped in life, we get caught in forgetting to use our imagination. That's actually a higher faculty of the mind, and we lose it through a lot of different things that unfortunately program us. And children don't have that because they're just naturally born with it. And it's beautiful to see that. And so that's a desire I have, is wanting the next generation to be more and more aware than the one previously before it. I hope that my grandkids and great grandkids are just, when I can look back at whatever age I said, oh, when I was this, I'm 31 right now, but when I was 31, oh my goodness, like they are just, they're doing so amazing, and they're flourishing, and they're a lot more aware of things that, I wasn't able to be because of all these beliefs or self-concept images I had about myself. I want to break that of children, especially at a very young age, that we can just let them know who they truly are, what they're capable of, and what they're capable of becoming.
In this day and age where we're handing children the phone as soon as they're able to hold it, and that's it. That's their whole communication, and they can't see beyond it. And I love what you're doing. I did want to ask you about this. We only have 7 minutes left, but it's crucial to me in this day and age. We have a lot of single parents, whether it's moms or dads raising their own kids for whatever reason. And again, you're looking and you're imparting to the future of not only America, but the rest of the world. Because once you have a phone, you can reach the world. And so speak to that and how we, the older generation, we kind of look down on this and we get all mad about it. And look, they're dealing with life issues. How do you approach this? Because the attack truly is on the family today and on the children. How do you do this?
Yeah, I actually got a whole training on screen technology, which I'm so grateful for, because we were able to not only get ideas, but also get research and study as to what's happening in a child's brain when there's an overuse of screens. And then, of course, also, people are, because again, the way that the world works is, money, right? And so children have basically become a factory for money. And that's what people do is, you have big corporations that make different cartoons or TV shows or, whatever, toys. And they market to your kids to say, you need this to be this kind of person, or you need this to become, really this. If you want to be, I mean, my son, he's into superheroes. He thinks that if he has to be strong, he has to be Spider-Man all the time, or, whatever superhero you want to label into that. And they're starting to blind children to see that, my son's just capable of being a hero for who he is. He doesn't have to wear the costume for it, or he doesn't have to have the powers for it. And so, screen use and overuse of technology, people aren't thinking about how whatever their kids are watching, that's going subconsciously into their mind, to make them think this is what I have to do to become this. And it's marketing, it's subliminal messaging. There's always that, and so they find a way to do that to our kids. And yeah, it's a great concern that I've coached several people on, as well as people realizing they weren't aware of what their children were actually watching or having content to, because they just think, oh, well, it's a phone, it's an iPad, it's not a big deal. But there's so much that I mean, we all know, like it just takes one touch, and we're somewhere we had no idea that we could get to on the internet.
Biffy, I just want to tell you, Grover, who is behind the scenes today, had posted, I'm glad Mark is recording this. And again, it's being broadcast. But I mentioned to you, we have Pat Tremley on every Wednesday. He was a professional counselor for the state of New Mexico and Texas for some 50 years, dealing mostly with grief issues. But your insights, and I've said it here before, we have some women behind the scenes, but I think we need to see more faces. And you've talked to me about podcasting and broadcasting like this, but I would love to bring you on more often, or if you have production stuff already for us to share at christianbody.net, because we do stream. We'll talk more about it. But we only have 3 minutes left, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Anything that you want to share in the next 3 minutes, and then we'll see how we can follow up with you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mark. I'm actually in the process of co-hosting a podcast. It's called Live in Feminine. We haven't launched it yet, but I have 2 partners in it. And so we're all women that are going to be focusing on different issues of womanhood. And so I'll definitely be bringing in my expertise with parent coaching. And, I help several families. I don't know what's going on. God's been bringing me tons of single dads lately, which I absolutely have a heart for. So it's been really great to experience that. But, thank you for having me on. I'm so grateful to be on here and, share my passion, share why I'm doing this, and keeping that as an anchor, every day, whether it's a good day or a bad day, to know that there's a higher reason and purpose to be doing all this. I want to be able to leave and say, I've helped so many families, be awakened and be able to go the direction that they need to go. And so I really appreciate you having me on here, because that's, another step for that mission to be brought out.
Well, again, let people know how they can get in touch with you, how they can see what you do, and then we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. Again, my handle is Roots Parent Coaching. You can find that on Facebook. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it on TikTok. You can DM me on any of those social media channels. And then you also can email me at rootsparentcoaching@gmail.com. And I will get back to you on any questions that you have.
You're muted, Mark.
Oh, yeah, you're muted.
I was going to say, let's get your 3 friends together, or you and your 2 friends together, and bring them on to talk about what you want to do with that. Because, again, I think we need to hear more solid women's voices and proclaiming truth and have substance to what you're standing on. So thanks so much, Biffy Iffel, our guest today at the Voice of One. We're going to be getting on with Jim Montoya's bilingual right now in Spanish and English. So if you know any Spanish-speaking people, be sure to get them on. Thanks so much, Biffy. God bless.
Thank you, Biffy. God bless.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure.